In this 3D modeling exercise, the students are going to build this machine, which has a crank and slider and a piston going up in a cylinder, and there's something that's going to appear at the top. They start by drawing a bearing block, which is presented to them as a paper drawing. They've got to get holes, some in the X plane, some in the Y plane, and meet all the dimensions. Next piece that the students design is the piston, and like the bearing block, it has holes on different planes. It also has a chamfer feature on the bottom of the piston. Now it's time to make the assembly. Students use the parts they designed along with the parts provided in a library. First thing to do is bring in the base plate with a couple of dowel pins on it for locating. Next, they'll bring in the housing, which will be located right on top of those pins. Great. The next part of those two bearing blocks that the students made. Those are located on the screw holes, but we don't have to put the screws in to hold them in place because we're in a virtual world. Okay, now it's time to bring in the drive shaft. And we can locate the drive shaft by putting some retaining rings on so that it holds itself in place around the bearing blocks. The crank wheel is going to come on to the far end of the drive shaft now. And we can rotate around and see how that looks. It's got a hole on the crank wheel. We'll put a pin in there and then put the connecting rod on that pin. Next, we can put in the piston and a pin that will connect that to the connecting rod. Okay, let's rotate around and we should add a handle onto the drive shaft. At this point, if all the mates are correct, which probably won't happen the first time, but if all the mates are correct and you turn the handle, we should get the machine to work, the crankshaft pushing the piston up and down. Okay, to make this a little more fun, we're going to bring in another object, put it on top of the piston. We may have to scale that object to get it to fit. And now when we turn it, you can see somebody popping up and down. Let's zoom in and see who that is. Ah, it's from the MIT logo, Mens and Manus, mind and hand. This is the hand guy who's there with his sledgehammer, ready to do some real work. Let's zoom out. And the purpose of this exercise now was for people to see parts of design as well as parts of modeling. So now they're going to model with the design intent, saying, well, if I need these things to locate to each other, maybe I should set those features up first and then design around them so that even if I change the size of some of these components, all the mates will still work. And that's it.